Good morning. Today we're going to do a feature video. This is a video in which we discuss features of an upcoming release. In this case, it's our end of October release or early November release. Today is October 30th, so we're scrambling to try to get it out tomorrow, but assuming we don't, it will be again an early November release. Nonetheless, we're going to be talking about the features in that, all the summary information about those features, as well as drilling down on the key features we think that are most important in that release. And we'll do a quick look at the roadmap. So we've had two releases in October, an October 10th release, and now again this end of October release. Between them, they represent 51 new features, 131 bug fixes, and 15 changes. Changes are generally stylistic things of non-material significance. And you can see I've put down here sort of a summary of all the information, information related to the last four releases. And you can see based on the dating that we've had a little bit more frequently than once a month releases for the last several months, and I think we'll continue that cadence for the next few quarters anyway. And over this period, you can see we've had close to 500 things, if you will, done in the product, most of them being bug fixes, followed by features, and then lastly, things that we categorize as change, again, unsignificant alterations within the product. But quite a lot of activity in the last several months. So these are the features, the key features in the last two releases, again the October 10th release and the October 31st release. In the October 10th release, we announced some key QView improvements, really relaunched QView primarily in this release. And that's the desktop viewer integrated in Quincy. And then we created bookmark templates. Those were the key features in the October release. There were also a large number of bugs, but those were the things really worth mentioning in the October release. In the, the 10th release. In the 31st release, it's been just a lollapalooza, if you will, cornucopia of new features. And a ton of them being what I consider significant. I've labeled the ones that are, if you will, quote unquote sellable, that you guys as users, as customers, are probably going to see and be like, wow, these are really powerful, these are cool. But a lot of these might actually be more useful in terms of your normal workflow. But these have sort of cool factor to them, and so are worth just touching on a little bit more in more detail. But let's go over these. Quincy as a service, a lot of our bigger customers have been requesting this, and I had been promising it for months and months and months, and we have finally delivered it. So when you install, you get the option to install as a service or as a desktop app. So, depending on your needs, install it however you see appropriate. You can, in fact, toggle back and forth between them, but you have to restart the application every time you do. Nonetheless, that is possible. AD Lab integration or Active Directory integration. So we've introduced a new method for doing that, and it's like the integration we already have in AD Lab. So it allows you to not, if you will, have to create the users in Quincy. You can just create the Active Directory groups, and then Quincy will go check Active Directory and see if the user that is logging in is part of that group, and if they are, it will log them in. We've had a number of coding panel enhancements. This was a message board request, sort of proving out that we always follow up on those requests. If you have a feature and you want it, go ahead, post it on the message board, and you will see it in, if not the next release, the one after that. FTK reports. This is the ability to run the reports like you run them in FTK, again, a customer request. System log file parsing, we've done a lot with parsing. We've actually enabled a generic parser that we can now take advantage of. So if you have additional parsing requests, please post them. And then for a number of our international customers, Xways is a tool that they like. It's a fantastic tool. I don't want to disparage it at all. So we can now parse Xway images. So if you have a lot of those, you can ingest them easily into Quincy. So those are key features, but not, if you will, the ones that are visual, not the ones that pop off the page. This next group in red are the ones that, again, pop off the page. So we've had a lot of QView enhancements. I will show specifically what those are, but it's really becoming almost its own tool. You can, of course, run it in conjunction. It's totally integrated with Quincy, but we are 1 or 2 releases away from being able to run it without Quincy even fired up. It's just going to be that powerful. The rendered viewer, I'll show you that. This really gives us the ability to show Excel documents in the web in a very user-friendly way. I've got a couple of features here that I'm categorizing as alpha. To be clear, I think they're full-featured. That we do not have bugs in them. They are working, but they're robust and large enough of feature sets, and they're complex enough that the fact that we are just releasing them now and they haven't been in the field significantly and customers haven't yet complained about them means I think it makes sense to label them alpha. In the next release, or maybe the release after, maybe I'll be able to take the alpha moniker off of them, but I just wanted to give you guys as our users heads up so you don't go crashing into these things and say, oh gosh, it's not really robust enough yet. That may in fact be what you get, and I just want to warn you. But nonetheless, these are super cool things. So customizable image recognition, of all the features in the release, this is the one that most pops, super powerful, and I'll talk about it in a second here. Drone forensics, we've already put together a video on that, and it's posted. It's really cool. I'm not going to talk about it much here because there is that video, but it's just a very visual feature. It's something that, you know, if you want to show somebody else in your organization, hey, look what Quincy can do, this is the kind of feature you'd want to show. Database forensics. This is something that people have been asking us for. Again, it's a request straight off the FTK message board. People have been asking it for years and years and years. What we do in FTK and Quincy prior to this release is just inadequate relative to people trying to analyze databases. Now we can offer you really robust database analysis. And by that I mean the ability to run queries against databases, the ability to mount the database, to run reports, all sorts of cool stuff like that. Word cloud is probably the feature we will demo the most going forward, but it's also, in my view, probably the least actually usable, but it's just really cool to look at. So I want to show that to you. And then advanced search, which is going to be easy to explain and pretty darn powerful, but also relatively easy to understand. So QView, here's the screenshot of QView. In this iteration of the product, actually, I think we've altered it a little bit more. I think we've gotten rid of or resized this bar a little bit. But nonetheless, you can see we've got a document here, and now we have all the related information about that document here on the right panel. And you can apply bookmarks and labels to the document now, and that's really the step up. This panel and the ability to bookmark and label stuff are the step up we've had in the October releases. And again, getting us very close to this being a standalone, if you will, capability. You can already see, although it won't be released, you won't have this button, if you will, in the released version. You can already see it's got integration with its own grid. And in the future releases, when you click on that button or when you enable the grid, you're going to get a grid here in the desktop application. You'll have a search bar, and it'll really start to take shape, if you will, as a desktop-based version of Quincy. This is the rendered view. You can see the spreadsheet looks just like a spreadsheet, and you can scroll around the spreadsheet, and you can click on the different tabs if there are them. Or if they exist. It's just really powerful. It's a much better viewing experience. Image recognition, this is again sort of one of those white hot features, but again, like I said, it's alpha. We'll ship with pre-trained categories, which we've done for a long time. But we now have facial recognition. So if you feed the system, if you train the system, excuse me, on a single image of one guy, it has the ability to again go and find other pictures of that individual. Of course, the better you train it, the better it will be. But it's not like typical image recognition where you have to train it on 1,000 different images of the guy, which of course nobody's going to have. And then finally, we have the ability to train your own categories. So you can see here where there's an image of a frog hanging from a plant, and you've got two bounding boxes around it, one with the frog and one with the plant, and you can see they've been labeled here, and we save them. And when we have enough of these, we can click a train button, and it will train the AI to be able to find frogs and plants if that's something you want to find. But this allows you to go beyond the pre-trained categories we have, or even alter the pre-trained categories we have if you're not satisfied with the results they're giving you. Here's the word cloud one I talked to you about. Not super sure how valuable it is, but it is just cool to look at. And I'm not ashamed to admit that we like to put things in the product that are cool to look at. So you can see what it does is it goes through the text of a document and it weights words based on frequency, and then it shows the ones that are important. So you can see folder is important. By the way, it extracts all the noise words. But you can see folder is important, information is important, delete what. But you could see you don't have the or the to or the is. Those get extracted out. But it's a compelling way to look at a document. Maybe you're trying to scan through for some document with a certain word cloud profile. I don't know, but anyway, you can see it's. I think you will all agree. It is true when I say it is cool to look at. So that's the most I'm really saying for it. Other than, I think it does have some basic application. Advanced search, this is the last one I'm going to show. That's the last one I'm going to show on terms of the new features. But we've built in the ability to open up an advanced search panel, and you can see you can create you can select all the DT search criteria and go ahead and run it, and you can build ands or nots, larger searches. But you can also browse the index, and this is really powerful. It allows you to see what is in the index, but it also allows you to see what the different things you've selected do to the search. So here you can see I was running the word test, but I included all synonyms and I used the fuzziness factor. And you can see if I do that and I run this search, I'm going to get any document that has the word T00T, which actually occurs in the index 4 times. And this document has T01T 2 times. Now, to me, this seems entirely like a junk set of documents, and I wouldn't want to run it with all synonyms and fuzziness, having seen this. But if I hadn't seen this, I might think, oh, let me go explore what this is going to produce. So this gives you a really good way of understanding what your search is going to do relative to the index. It also gives you a really powerful way of producing reports very quickly. If you have, let's say, 1,000 search terms and you want to know what all those search terms are going to produce and how reactive your data set is to them, you can load them all up into here and just click run. You don't have to do it one at a time either. The shipping release of this has a little button there that will allow you to put them all in semicolon separated and just run them. So those are the features for this upcoming release. And hopefully this is a good, if you will, primer. Again, most of these are going to have videos dedicated to them. Certainly all the ones in red that I listed as key will have videos dedicated to them. So depending on when you're watching this video, you may be able to just go search on the Quincy support page and find those videos now and look at them if anything has piqued your interest. I have 2 more slides that are worth discussing. They're quick roadmap slides. And I just want to point out a few things that will be coming up in the November release. We're going to do a lot more with Cerberus analysis. We're going to do a lot more with registry analysis. Natural language processing is going to be in the next release for sure, as well as an XRY integration. Everything in red has already been put into the release, so there's not a heck of a lot left for the November release that was on our existing roadmap. As a function of that, obviously, we're going to be augmenting this roadmap with new features, and we will post those on the message board if you're interested. So take a look out, or keep a lookout for that. Maybe in the next week or two, you'll get a list of expected features in the end of November release. And then here is those. This is the roadmap on the enterprise side. Quite a lot is coming out at the end of November in the let's say corporate market, or excuse me, let's say for the corporate market. Particularly, there will be a lot of work done around compliance workflow for the acquisition widget, so you can so there'll be a GDPR button. There'll probably be a PII button where you can just click it, and then it will pop up a form, and you can enter that information in the form, and it will go find those things. You can see also we're doing a lot more with active forensics investigations. So based on various alerting criteria or IOC or YARA rules or whatever, being able to go out and gather that information in an automated way or a reactive way are things we certainly want to be able to deliver to you. So keep your eyes peeled for these features in the end of November release, but I will again update you on the message board as they are each done, and I'll do my normal thing of providing screenshots so you have a good sense of where we are in terms of our progress and what the feature might ultimately look like. So that's all I had for this video. Hopefully it was helpful and it answered all your questions about the October releases. Thank you very much.